In this video, we're going to talk about the #1 trick that a woman will do if she wants to manipulate you. And in fact, all women will do this at some point or another. It doesn't matter if she's a nice person or not. They have to, at some point, start testing the relationship, start testing the boundaries, testing your strength and your resolve. And if you fall into any one of the manipulative tactics that they use, and this one in particular, what ends up happening is she starts to see that you're not as strong as she is. She can see that she can control you on some level, and she's testing these boundaries in order to feel safe with you. In other words, what's the container in which I can reside? What's the container that I can operate with this guy? And she'll bounce on these, and depending on the level that she is ethical, will determine how much she does this. And so if you get this handled correctly, if you do this properly and you're very consistent, you should not tolerate even a little bit, then it'll just disappear. Like, it won't happen anymore. She'll see you as a powerful guy. So anyways, let's get into it. My name is Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men, tens of thousands of men who come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betray to Badass program. And that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. So I'm gonna get right to the chase. The #1 trick is guilt tripping. So if she can make you feel guilty about something, she can make you move. And so if she doesn't want to take responsibility for something, if she wants to get you to do something, all she has to do is just make you feel guilty. And most guys will do it. They'll just completely capitulate. And so the way to get around it is, first you call it out. You say something like, hey, I don't respond to guilt trips, and I don't appreciate that you're guilting me. What is it that you really want right now? And so if we call it out directly, it'll send her scrambling because she sees that you can see it. And if she sees that you can see it, well, then her cards are laid out. And so a manipulator never wants to show their hand. They want to play these games behind the scenes. If they can play these games behind the scenes and you don't know what it is and you can't see it, then she can run this game on you. What she'll say is, you're making me feel awful. How could you say something like this to me? And so this is the victim layered on top of the guilt. You are making me feel awful. So in other words, she has no control over emotional state, which is not true. And how could you say this to me? In other words, she's saying that there's something wrong with you intrinsically and that you don't know how you're coming off. And so the big guilt trip game that they'll play is that there's some way that you're coming across, some way that you are just saying things that obviously is off and wrong and insensitive. And so I'll have a lot of guys who come into the Soul Seducer program and they'll think, yeah, I just don't have a way with words. I just can't say things right. And I'm like, how are you saying things? And he's like, well, I don't know. It just seems that whenever I say something, she gets upset. And I'm like, dude, you and me talking right now, you don't have any problem with the way you say things. What she's doing is she's running guilt trips on you to make it seem like you're intrinsically broken in some way. And since you believe it, now all she has to do is call this thing up, and now you're already the bad guy. There's nothing to fix, but you'll keep trying to fix it, but you'll find that there's a never-ending goalpost of the problems of how you're being insensitive in the way that you're talking, and then it never gets resolved, which is what she wants. Why? Because it gives her power and control of the situation. It means that she doesn't have to be accountable. And so let's say you need a little bit of space. You want some time to yourself. You want to do something on your own, or maybe you want to start a new habit like going to the gym. And so you'll go to the gym several days a week, and then she'll say something like, well, I guess the gym is all you care about. You're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I care about you too. Why are you saying I don't care about you because I go to the gym? And so what she's doing is she's making you feel guilty so that she can exercise more control over you. And generally, when somebody who is highly manipulative starts to see you getting power in your life, this is when the manipulation is going to start. And they'll try to get you and sabotage the habits that you're doing. And so the whole purpose of this is to make you question yourself so that she can be back in control of you. So if she can control you emotionally, then she's going to feel safe on some level. And so this game of manipulation is kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, what she's doing is she's manipulating to feel the boundaries of you in a relationship. And if you do not put up with it and you say, no, and call it out directly, then what will happen is that she'll feel the boundary of the relationship and she'll feel safe. But at the same time, she's doing this because if she has control over you, this also makes her feel safe. Why? Because you're the protector. If she can control the protector, then now she can control the protection. Whereas the one where you are holding the boundary, she cannot control the protector, which means that she cannot control the protection, and she has to rely and trust in you to protect her. And so on one hand, she desperately wants it this way, but on the other hand, her fear is driving her to try to control you. And so what will happen is that since the container is now broken, there's a hole in it where she's more powerful, then she can't rely on you to protect her, which means that she doesn't see you as powerful anymore. And demonstrations of power is where her attraction is going to reside. And so whenever you're showing her that she is more powerful than you, her attraction starts to go down. And if her attraction starts to go down, so does her love, and so does the sex. And so you're going to be like, I don't understand why she doesn't want to have sex anymore. It's like, yeah, dude, because you're agreeing with her all the time, because you're allowing her to manipulate you. Even on a small, subtle level, this is what's happening. And she's starting to see these weaknesses in your armor. of where you're tough or where you can hold yourself strong and accountable. And so when she sees this, it hurts your sex. And the reason that guilting works on most guys because they're nice people. They endeavor to do the best they can for their woman. They want to protect her, they want to care for her, they want to love her. And oftentimes the guys want to fix all her problems. They play the game of Captain Save-A-Ho. And we don't want to do that. When you treat her like this, she's this delicate flower, this princess that she deserves everything in the world. And maybe you feel that way because you love the hell out of her, but when you treat her in such a manner, you put her on this pedestal and you don't have any strength in the relationship, and he ends up creating more of a problem than yourself. And so most of the time in a relationship, you'll see that if the woman is angry and bitter and holds the guy in contempt, he created this because he didn't hold boundaries. And what this does is that over time, when she sees this, she gets insecure, she gets angry, and eventually she'll hold you in contempt because you're not holding power, you're not stepping up, you're not doing what you should be doing as a man in the relationship, and she can't necessarily articulate it. She just knows that this guy's not strong enough, this guy's kind of weak, and I'm just not attracted to him, and I don't even know why. And so oftentimes women will relegate this to the honeymoon phase is just past, and this is where we're at now. We're just in this place where we're just together. And it's, yeah, because you've depolarized the relationship. You're no longer holding the container in the masculine frame and the leadership because you've allowed manipulation to happen. And then what she sees is that you're both just women in the relationship and it's completely depolarized. And she's not getting the benefit of the man in the relationship anymore. And you're not getting the benefit of a feminine woman in your life where she pours into you, dotes on you, tries to serve you, and definitely gives you as much sex as you desire. And so you break it. Whenever you allow your woman to manipulate you on any level, it always cascades into this. Even if it happens, it doesn't necessarily have to happen overnight, but it will slowly cascade into this. So how do you deal with the manipulation? One, you have to recognize it. You have to see it in real time. So if you want to break a habit, you have to handle it now. You can't just capitulate now and then have a conversation with her later and expect it to change later on. It won't. You have to handle it in real time. That's how you break a habit. Now, she may manipulate you and you fall under it, and then later on you have a conversation about it. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry, but you've just trained her that she can get away with it. So even though you have this discussion about it, rest assured it's going to come back, and it's going to come back stronger next time because what you tolerate, you encourage. And so since you encourage it, just realize it's going to happen again. It's not a matter of if, it's a fucking certainty. And so one, you have to notice that it's happening. Two, you can't get emotionally attached to it. You have to just see it for what it is. Okay, she's doing this, she's feeling a little insecure, whatever, she's pushing the boundaries, she's testing my strength, she wants to see where I'm at, that's totally fine, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to take it personally. She's a human having a human experience, and so whatever that experience is for her, it's valid for her. Now, it's not necessarily valid in my world. I'm not going to allow that to happen, but I can see that she's having this experience, and so I'm going to give her what she needs. I'm not going to give her what she wants. What she wants is for me to capitulate. I'm going to give her what she needs in this relationship, which is to call it out. So this is how we call that out. We're like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to guilt trip me, and I'm not going to deal with guilt trips. I'm not going to do it. And so when I was dating, see, my mom was a queen of guilt trips. She was highly manipulative, still is. And so I would just become immune to it. So when someone tried to guilt me about something, I just wouldn't care anymore. So then I realized I could just call it out. Like, you're trying to guilt me, and that ain't going to work. The fastest way to push me away is to start guilting me. In fact, my mom used to guilt me all the time, and I don't have a good relationship with her. So, I mean, you can guilt me if you want, but just realize we won't be together if you keep doing it. And so this would just end it. It wouldn't happen again. And so she'd find other ways to try to test the boundaries. And then when that happens, if she tests the boundary in such a way where she's guilting you and you call it out and you demonstrate to her that, you know, she doesn't have that kind of control over you and it's not going to work, then it won't happen. See, manipulation happens because it works. And it often happens with guys because it's worked over and over and over and over again, and the guy will try to plead with her, talk to her, and have all this understanding, but there's no boundary there. And a boundary is only a boundary if it has teeth. In other words, it has to be like a wall. You can't pass it. And if you do pass it, there's a consequence. And so whenever I just stated it there, hey, you can keep doing that if you want, you just won't be with me, you'll push me away, right? So there's a consequence to the action. And so for most guys, they're like, well, how do I change the manipulation? I've been married to this woman forever. It's still the same. Your willingness to walk away is your greatest determining factor in your ability to hold and reside in your power. And it always comes down to that. You have to always look at the extreme end of it. Are you willing to walk away? If you're not, then the best thing you should do is just capitulate immediately. Because what happens if you don't capitulate immediately, then you're just going to train her to just get crazier and crazier with your manipulation until you finally give in. And do you really want that? No. So if you're just going to capitulate, you might as well just do it immediately. If you're going to be weak, just be fucking weak and own it. Just realize that you're never going to have the relationship that you want. But if you want to have an awesome relationship, if you want to have a woman who's calm and serene, gives you peace at home and doesn't guilt you and shame you, and lie to you and be deceitful, then you have to have a zero tolerance for any kind of manipulation in your relationship. And you have to be the harbinger and the executor of the boundaries. And so you have to be willing to walk away. That's always going to be your trump card. So if you want to learn how to be an absolute ninja master with manipulation, how to get around it, how to actually create this garden for your woman to thrive in, when you turn this woman who's turned into this unhinged maniac, but you turn her back into the sweetheart, this woman who actually loves you and settles down and actually flowers under your protection, then the Soul Seducer program will teach you how to do this. In fact, we'll show you how to calm the chaos in your relationship, show you how to create a magnetic life so that she wants to be in it. It's a game of seduction. It's a game of invitation. It's not a game of forcing her to do anything. And most guys are always chasing after women, trying to get them to like him, which that whole game right there just shows that you're just not that valuable. Why do you have to prove that you're valuable? How about you just be a high-value motherfucking dude? And then the third stage is the art of seduction, which we talk about polarity and how to deal with these kind of things, and also turn it into quite a magical life where your home is full of peace and harmony and you don't have any fights. You're on the same page with the kids. You're on the same page with your finances. You're on the same page in just about every area of your life. That's what the Soul Seducer program does. And it'll work for if she's a narcissist or if she's nice. It works in all these situations. So if you want to know more about that, check out the link in the description below. If you want other people to see this video, other guys that are going through this shit, hit the like button. That way it'll pop up in their feed. And if you want to know when the next one comes out, hit subscribe so that you'll always be notified when the next video comes out. Anyways, brother, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.